Thank you very much. I'm more than happy to introduce you to our first ever school at the German Stock Exchange and ESA Education Share, and of course also why we think it's an exciting new opportunity for a sustainable investment in education and innovation. I structured the presentation in let's say 4 or 5 parts, introducing the school and our story where we are today, why ESA is a real ESG impact investment and how we meet the ESG and SDG standards, some information about the Greater Augsburg area because it's an important aspect for ESA to develop, our future activities and how we want to realize the future based on our economical development we had until today and continue to have. So let me start with International School Augsburg, because International School Augsburg, international school itself is a label like consultant or anything else. So it really matters to be an IB World School, which is a school type for international mobile families. And there are more than 6,500 schools worldwide, which make sure that mobility is possible for internationals, and internationals find the same pedagogical system everywhere in the world. Every school for itself develops, is based in general on the IB learner profile of the IB. That's a very important aspect for us all as well, because we try to learn for the future, and we want to send out our students with this IB learner profile you can see here, with 10 attributes with which we go ahead of normal pedagogy and academics. We really try to shape personalities for the future to be able to match the requirements of companies and the future. Every school itself has to define its own way, of course, within the community of IB schools. And our vision statement really was developed during the actual vision statement was developed during the Corona time with our community. And as you can see, it already focuses on ESG aspects. We see, we care, we act, and especially looking after our planet, one another, and ourselves. A little bit about our story. We were founded in 2005. We grew rather fast in the first few years, of course, because it was a new type of school in the Greater Augsburg area. In 2012, we had our first graduating class with only 13 pupils. In 2013, we became an accredited school of the Council of International Schools, a very important accreditation for international schools in general. And there are only 700 worldwide which match and fulfill the criteria of this quality management system, if you want to say so. In 2016, we already hit the 40%. As you can imagine, a young school with major international schools in the greater Munich area next to Augsburg takes a while to attract internationals, because internationals always have the possibility to choose where they want to go to school with their kids, and can choose other areas as well which are close by, even if they work in Augsburg or in the Greater Augsburg area. In 2016, end of 2016-17, we changed our legal structure into a non-profit public company, German Gemeinnützige Aktiengesellschaft. And in 2019, we had around about 325 pupils from 38, in the meantime, of course, more than 40 countries all over the world. In 2020, we were at about 322 shareholders, and since March in 2021, we are stock exchange based at the Börse in Munich, stock exchange in Munich in the MXS market. At the moment, we are around about 340 students. All the students, our IB diploma scores were consistently high and above the world average. We have a worldwide, a unique thing. We make our graduates shareholders, so we are more or less founding or creating our own market of investors. So in the meantime, there are 263 alumni who became shareholder with their IB diploma. And yeah, as you can see, in the meantime, there are successful company owners studying all over the world. And the first alumni already bought shares and are major shareholders, besides their one at the beginning when it was €100 share and now 8 shares. So we already have student, if you want to, pupil investors, which in the meantime, of course, are in business or studying. And of course, International School Augsburg plays a significant role in the greater Augsburg area, especially for the local business representatives and their families. Why do we think we are a real ESG impact investment? And I'm trying to explain briefly how investors are invested in something which is really future-oriented, sustainable, and in accordance with, as you can see, ESG, SDG standards, and at the same time generating assets as a company. I divided the whole ESG approach up into our pedagogical side of things and the financial side of it, or the business side of things. And you will see the IB learner profile, of course, several on all levels. And you will see also the economy for the common good. I will go into more detail at the end. So as you can see on the pedagogical level, ESA is an eco school for the last few years. The IB learner profile especially is a pedagogical concept with which we focus on things like taking on responsibility, being reflective, and care about the future of our planet. On the business side of things, we meet the environmental aspects with our actual energy audit, the concept for our new green school campus, which I will come to later. And as a member of the Economy for the Common Good, we are a reporting institution. We are at the moment in the process of setting up our first common good balance sheet, which is, in my eyes, you will see it, as I said, a little bit later, the only system to cover the three topics of ESG, environmental, social, and governance under one concept. Social, we have a partnership with SERF in Zambia, with the community, a church community where students in grade 11 go to during the WIT holidays, work there. We help them for the last 5 or 10 years. In the meantime, it's an ongoing partnership, only a little bit interrupted by Corona, as you can imagine. But it's going to happen this year again. So we're happy to set it up and continue it after Corona. Again, the IB learner profile, especially with the topic of social engagement, is a very, very important concept to focus on. The Economy for the Common Good, as I mentioned, covers the social aspects as well, as you will see in the following matrix. And naturally, an international school with 40 nations and more on board is a typical member of the Charta der Vielfalt, the Germany's diversity initiative. Governance is an important topic for us as well, and here you can see the common good matrix already. Of course, on the pedagogical side of things, we are as I mentioned it already, an accredited school of the Council of International Schools. We are an IB school. We also offer the IGCSEs, which is the typical German Mittlere Reife, and of course, as a so-called Ersatzschule in Bavaria, we are also recognized by the Bavarian state. On the business side of things, you can see the common good matrix, and as you can see, as I mentioned, this concept really covers all the three aspects of the ESG standards, and especially also the governance area. On top of that, it's obvious, as a stock exchange company, we have our auditors and tax consultants, Sonntag & Partner, and are a member of the FNG, which is Association for Sustainable Investments. So our educational shareholders really promote an innovative educational concept in the cultural understanding, and of course a better future for our new young kids and our students and the new generations. They also promote and support an internationally recognized school leaving certificate with the IB diploma, and local and global economy. I'll talk to that right now. So Augsburg as an economic area counts over 700, around about 700 inhabitants, and is known for an excellent quality of life work-life balance. In 2019, it really made a big jump in the future ranking of the HWWI, and it's very well known for its aeronautics and aerospace industry, but also in the meantime, for information and communication technology. So big companies are even outsourcing from Munich, as Munich, as we all know, is a location with a lot of problems in the meantime getting offices and things like that. So Augsburg, close by, is really benefiting from from these developments. A little bit where we are. Close to Austria and Switzerland. As I mentioned, Munich is close by, Nuremberg is close by, and even Stuttgart, Ulm is only a few minutes away, or 1.5 hours away. And in the right corner, you can see the major developments in Augsburg, the Augsburg Innovation Park, with the extension of the university, and a lot of technology transfer institutions, which really support the economic development of the area. These are already customers which use our services and with whom we cooperate. So this also shows a broad customer basis, if you want to say so, of all the companies in the greater Augsburg, even Munich area. And as you can see, of course, sports clubs like the Bundesliga clubs in ice hockey or football are using the school as well for their players or the kids of their players. So what we think that there's a huge potential for ESA to grow. That's the reason why we did the IPO and why we wanted to develop our potential. And as you can see, at the moment we are at, as I said, at around 350 students with the right campus and really limited in space. There is an enrollment possible of more than 450 students. Additional facilities will be possible. So there are different development possibilities for us as a school. Firstly, in childcare and also boarding in the long run, as well as regional developments like, as you just saw, the Innovation Park is an area where there might be a possibility for a satellite primary school, or even locations in the greater Bavarian area. So cities like Würzburg, they don't even have an international school in the meantime. So there are let's say, both vertical and horizontal possible developments for us as an institution or from a business company point of view. And this is what we are going to invest in with the assets we gained from our IPO and with the actual ongoing emission of our convertible bond. This is this is close to Augsburg at the railway station, close to Augsburg, close to Munich, even close to the Innovation Park, the plot on which we are going to build our green campus. It's the vision of our new home, and of course it will have to fulfill all the ESG criteria I mentioned beforehand, starting from energy savings, and this is how it could look like if you compare it with actual situations in schools, especially in Germany. You can see there's a lot of potential, and we want to grasp this potential and develop the school into the future. We want to finance the whole thing via public subsidies, which is also the potential for our investors in company value growth, because building the new school will be subsidized with up to 60% by the Bavarian state. We will finance the rest with own capital loans and the actual convertible bond on a plot which is around about 25,000 square meters big. How do we want to realize the vision? What's the basis for our realization? So as I mentioned, I think we always had a solid, sustainable growth from the very beginning. We started as a 50,000 euros a company in 2005. In the meantime, ESA has an equity of 5.6 million euros since the IPO, and also the balance sheet total developed to up to 8.7 million as it's shown in the balance sheet. Another interesting thing is, in my eyes, a startup company, as I'm also at the same time managing director of a little regional risk capital fund in the greater Augsburg area. I'm involved in startup companies since the last 20 years, and I personally haven't seen that many startup companies who were able to show positive results since the very beginning. And as you can see, besides a few in 2012 and the year of the IPO, the school always had positive annual operating results, and revenue grew from almost to up to 6.2 million in the meantime. So I think one can see that there's a really solid economic development and based on continuously positive operating results. And why do we think we are a very interesting investment, even as a non-profit company? Because we focus on long-term growth instead of short-term interest rates or dividends. We focus on long-term growth in company value. How is this possible? On the one hand, with tax relief and not having to pay dividends, on the one hand, is something which investors might miss. On the other hand, it means if you take, for example, a for-profit company, let's say with 500,000 euros of profit, 50% goes into taxes, and the rest of the 50%, whatever, another 50% goes into dividends. Then the company only has 125,000 euros left for investments, right? And the non-profit company has the full amount of 500,000 for company investments. This is why a company value can be developed much faster, or at least on the same level or faster than with a for-profit company. And this is something where we think this is long-term growth, this is long-term company valuation and development. Also, not-for-profit has additional sources of revenue. I mentioned the subsidies already, which sum up for the new building of up to 18 million euros, which will increase our company value after building the new school campus. Donations, sponsorships, and of course, not-for-profit companies have typically very lean, efficient administrative structures. So there are no fairs, expensive fairs and things like that. We focus on our business and the development of the company value. And last but not least, a very interesting aspect, of course, is also the high level of securities as we invest in real estate typically, or in valuable assets. I think one can say there is a huge level of security compared to, let's say, a typical IT software company, where it's really difficult if the company gets into financial difficulties. Last but not least, as the first ever school, we really want to shift the perception of regarding investment in education. We want to secure, of course, our sustainable future for this unique setup. And last but not least, I really think, and we are really convinced, we have to start investing in education on a private level, because it's obvious that we need private investments and private commitment, especially in high level primary and secondary education. And this leads me to my final statement. As Benjamin Franklin said, an investment in education always pays the highest returns, and they might not only be on a financial basis, but also on social ESG impact, on the impact side of things. Well, I think I'm through, and yeah, almost in time, and I'm happy to answer any kind of question.
Thank you very much. Yes, we still have 5 minutes left. No questions yet, but anyone can pose questions through the Q&A functions or the chat. Maybe a few questions on my side.
Thank you.
Regarding the background of the company, why did you start in Augsburg?
Well, that's a very interesting question, because the initiative goes back to the Chamber of Commerce, different from a typical school founding of a school, where you find parent initiatives to found a school. The big companies at that time, Fujitsu, Airbus Helicopters, Premium Aerotech, and KUKA, approached the Chamber of Commerce and said, look, this can't continue. It's definitely necessary that the greater Augsburg area needs an international school, because we have to have a possibility where our international staff members can bring their kids to school.
Okay. And you mentioned a convertible bond. Is it still subscribable, and can you maybe give us some more facts around it?
Of course, it's still subscribable. It's a convertible bond with 7 years of investment, interest rate of 3%, and the possibility to change into shares at any time, or every half year, to be precise, till the end of the period. So it's from our perspective, Of course, if you look at the actual interest developments, but the real asset, I think, is the fact that changing into ESA shares might be really of interest, because if we look at the actual ratings, there is a potential in the share price over the next few years, considering the company value increasing and so on. So there's a real asset within the conversion of the bond, the shares or the share parts.
Excellent. And you're planning to build a new campus. What kind of sales and earnings can we expect from that?
As I mentioned, the potential is up to 550 students, which means from a actual situation of round about 6.2 million euros, we can expect a turnover increase of up to 9 million, around about 8.59 million euros, depending, of course, on the future development, but that's definitely possible.
Mm-hmm. And the past 2 years were also in the name of Corona. How did it affect you with the homeschooling, or did it not affect you at all?
Very good question as well. Thank you. Well, we are quite proud on the development of at ESA, because we changed the whole teaching into cloud-based support, IT support for the last 5 years. So when Corona hit in 2020, we really were able within 1 day to switch to our cloud-based environment, or continue teaching with the cloud-based environment. So what we are going to do today, or what we are doing today, having a Zoom meeting, we did for the whole time during Corona, and teaching and school continued like normal after the first day. So there were only slight adjustments in the long length of the school day, as you can imagine. From 8:30 to 4 being on the screen would be too much. So we did some adjustments, but the good thing was we were prepared and we were able to offer something. And as I said, teaching and school continued like normal on a virtual platform.
Excellent. So most pupils would have preferred being students at your school. Yeah, time is already up.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.